Welcome back to Bike Culture Hub, and today we're diving into the brand new 2026 Yamaha SR400, a motorcycle that refuses to chase trends, choosing instead to celebrate timeless engineering with subtle modern enhancements. If you're someone who believes motorcycles should feel raw, mechanical, and alive, then stick around, because this bike might just be exactly what you've been waiting for. Right from the first look, the 2026 SR400 feels like stepping into a time machine. Yamaha kept the silhouette unmistakably classic, a round headlamp, narrow fuel tank, flat seat, spoke wheels, and a stance that feels like a tribute to every standard bike of the 1970s. But what really stands out this year is how Yamaha blends old-school charm with new-age detail. The fuel tank now has a satin gloss hybrid finish that responds differently depending on sunlight, giving the bike a subtle premium sheen. The chrome accents are thicker, more durable, and Yamaha claims they've improved anti-corrosion treatment by nearly 40% over the previous model. While the bike still looks beautifully vintage, close inspection reveals modern manufacturing precision, tight panel gaps, better weld consistency, and matte black engine casings that make everything look cleaner. The engine, of course, remains the heart of the SR400 legacy, a 399 cubic centimeters air-cooled single-cylinder that seems like it was born for simplicity and soul. But unlike earlier models, the 2026 edition fine-tunes this engine to meet global emissions without sacrificing character. Yamaha retunes the cam profile, improves the fuel injection mapping, and enhances the cooling fins for better heat dissipation. The result is an engine that feels crisp at low RPMs, smoother in the mid-range, and slightly more energetic near the top. Power output sits around 27 horsepower and 28 Nm of torque, numbers that won't scare any superbike rider but will absolutely delight anyone who values connection over speed. What stands out most is the throttle response. There's no abruptness, no aggressive fueling. Instead, the SR400 feels predictable, responsive, and almost carb-like despite being fuel-injected. Yamaha intentionally preserved that vintage mechanical feel, and it shows every time you twist the throttle. But of course, let's talk about the one feature that makes the SR400 legendary, the kickstarter. Yes, in 2026, Yamaha refuses to let go of it. They've improved the mechanism, making it smoother and requiring less force, and even added a microsensor that optimizes fuel delivery depending on how the rider primes the engine. Kickstarting the SR400 isn't just functional, it's a ritual, a connection to a past that most modern riders never get to experience. For new riders, it's a novelty. For veterans, it's a nostalgic treasure. In terms of ride quality, Yamaha's approach is once again, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. The bike still sits on a classic double cradle steel frame, providing a predictable, stable, and balanced feel. The suspension keeps things simple, 35mm front forks and dual rear shocks. But Yamaha reworks the damping for 2026, making the front slightly firmer to reduce dive under braking, while the rear gets more progressive rebound for smoother response on uneven roads. The goal wasn't sportiness, it was consistency and comfort, and Yamaha nails that. The bike feels stable up to 110 km/h, with a natural upright riding posture that's ideal for city commutes and relaxing weekend cruising. One of the biggest upgrades for 2026 is the braking system. Yamaha finally shifts to a modern ABS system designed specifically for lightweight retro bikes. The front disc is now a 298mm rotor paired with a dual-piston caliper, and the rear uses a 220mm disc. The braking feel is significantly more confidence-inspiring than older generations. Lever modulation feels smoother, feedback is clearer, and the ABS intervention is less intrusive. Even though the SR400 is not a speed machine, having reliable braking elevates rider confidence across all skill levels. When it comes to handling, the SR400 shines in the same places it always has: agility, predictability, and that lightweight charm that modern bikes sometimes lose due to technological overload. At just around 170 kilograms fully fueled, the SR400 feels incredibly easy to maneuver. Whether you're filtering through traffic, carving through narrow streets, or cruising at a relaxed pace, the bike feels light on its feet. The 18-inch wheels help maintain stability while still allowing nimble turn-in characteristics, a perfect balance for a retro standard bike. Yamaha did sneak in some modern touches aside from the emissions updates and ABS. The new SR400 features a semi-digital cluster that keeps the analog speedometer intact while adding a discrete LCD window for fuel level, trip meters, and a gear indicator. This update maintains the classic look while adding practical convenience. The lighting remains mostly halogen, with the exception of a new LED tail lamp designed to use less power and last significantly longer. Yamaha wanted to avoid making the bike look too modern, and this compromise works beautifully. The exhaust note on the 2026 model is one of its most satisfying improvements. Yamaha redesigned the internal baffling to deliver a deeper, more resonant thump, while still respecting emission and noise regulations. At idle, it has that signature single-cylinder heartbeat, low, rhythmic, and unmistakably analog. As the revs climb, the sound grows sharper yet never harsh, making every gear shift feel rewarding. For many riders, the sound alone is part of the SR400's charm, and Yamaha clearly understands that. The seat design also gets a comfort-focused revision. Yamaha now uses a dual-density foam structure to reduce pressure points on longer rides. Combined with a slightly extended seat length, the SR400 now accommodates both rider and passenger more comfortably than before. The foot peg placement remains standard and neutral, making it a bike you can ride for hours without strain. Fuel efficiency has always been one of the SR400's strongest practical advantages, and the 2026 model continues the tradition. With Yamaha's updated fuel injection tuning, the bike can deliver around 30 to 34 km/L depending on riding style. That means you get both character and affordability, rare qualities to find together in today's bike market. The 12-liter tank isn't huge, but thanks to the bike's efficiency, you'll still get impressive range between fill-ups. Now let's talk pricing. The 2026 Yamaha SR400 comes in at an estimated price of around $6,200, depending on region and taxes. For a bike with this level of heritage, craftsmanship, and emotional value, the price feels reasonable, especially considering Yamaha's improvements in durability, emissions compliance, and braking. One of the biggest unique selling points of the SR400 has always been its mod-friendly nature. Whether you're into cafe racers, brat builds, trackers, or scrambler conversions, the SR400 is one of the most customizable production motorcycles ever made. Yamaha acknowledges this, offering several official accessory packages, including a cafe kit with clip-ons and a short rear fender, a scrambler kit with high-mount exhaust, and a heritage touring kit that adds leather saddlebags and a small windscreen. It's a bike designed for personal expression in a market that's increasingly dominated by factory perfection. But even without modifications, the SR400 offers something few modern motorcycles can: a genuine connection between rider and machine. As we wrap up this review, the 2026 Yamaha SR400 stands as a rare gem in the motorcycle world. At a time when bikes are becoming more complex, more digital, and more disconnected, the SR400 reminds us why we fell in love with riding in the first place. It's not the fastest, it's not the most advanced, but it might be one of the most soulful motorcycles you can buy today. Yamaha preserved the heritage, improved the essentials, and delivered a motorcycle that feels like a time capsule brought to life. If you want a bike that offers authenticity, reliability, and endless charm, the 2026 SR400 is worth every look. Thanks for watching Bike Culture Hub. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2026 Yamaha SR400, hit that like button, subscribe for more detailed reviews, and let us know in the comments what bike you want us to cover next. Ride safe, and I'll see you in the next video.